Okay, so here we're looking at a coral tree, and anybody in the industry understands that corals have issues. They're very brittle trees that with weight will break, and they tend to break quite often. But I think this is super extreme, and I think any professional would agree. So again, the objective would be fulfilled without having to go to this extreme. Let's get away from topping, guys. This is a commercial property. I did see the company that was working here, but I'm not here to blast any company. I'm here to better our industry and stop this type of abuse on our trees. This helps nobody. So here we have a ficus tree that has been reduced, but it has been topped severely, and if any tree is able to sustain this type of pruning, it would be a ficus tree. But really, for most trees, you don't want to get into this type of pruning standards. You want to get away from this type of trimming. I don't know who trimmed this tree. It's a residential tree, but I'm certain that we could have accomplished the same objective, which is to make it safe and reduce it without actually having severe topping cuts as the ones that we see here. Again, one of the trees that can sustain this type of abuse or pruning would be a ficus. Alright guys, well, now that you've seen some images of trees that were topped, again, if any tree might be able to sustain a topping pruning cut, it will be the notorious ficus tree. But even then, I mean, you don't want to top the tree down to a nub, a stub. You want to stick as close as possible to the rule of thumb, which is to bring down a leader branch to a lateral that's at least 1/3, 33% of the branch you are removing. So we always want to do that. So a couple reasons of why it's really bad to top trees is that number one, it's bad for the tree. It's unhealthy for trees to be shocked in that way. Creates a future liability. Listen, folks, I've talked to a lot of people, and homeowners, residents, commercial properties, municipalities, and their number one concern is safety, right? Everybody's concern is safety. A lot of times when people want trees topped, they're really saying that they're afraid. They're afraid that the tree's going to fall, and it's going to fall on their property. And it's a viable concern a lot of times. In cases like that, you know, we seek the help of consulting arborists. We'll do soil analysis. We will do some further tree risk assessments. But a lot of times the tree is just a large growing specimen that just grows big. And the tree needs to be properly pruned so that the tree is safe and the homeowners, the property owners, feel safe. But a continuous topping of any tree will eventually lead to the tree's death. And the reason being is that whenever there's a topping cut, the tree goes into shock, okay? Tree goes into shock, and what it does, it calls for its reserves, sugar reserves, in order to survive. The reserves are being held in the root system. So you do a continuous topping of the same tree, you're going to deplete the reserves, and that tree's just early termination. And not only did you not make the tree safer, but now you've killed a tree that was possibly an asset for your property, and now it's going to cost you money, more money, to get rid of the tree. And that leads to my next point, which is whenever there's a tree that has been severely topped, it really takes from the value of a property. And when you have many trees that have been mistreated in this way, then you're really depreciating from the property value. And I know a lot, I don't think anybody out there would purposely want to take away from their property values. So my advice to you is to consult with an arborist. Consult with an arborist and make sure that this is really what you want. I mean, in a lot of cases, it's best just to remove the tree and start over. There's just some severe topping out there that it makes no sense. And if you're going that drastic, you might as well remove the tree and start over. Folks, even when we prune trees correctly, you're damaging the tree because we're creating a wound. Every time we prune a tree, even if it's done correctly, we're creating a wound. That's why as arborists, we want to know that we're creating the least possible wound on a tree. And whenever we're trimming trees, there needs to be a reason of why we're removing any particular branch. If your tree trimmer and your tree company and your arborist cannot give you a reason of why they're removing that branch, then they're being indiscriminate in their tree pruning practices. And when you're pruning trees, you've got to be extremely discriminate. You can't just prune every single branch. There's got to be a reason why. What is the objective? Pick up the phone, go online and find an arborist, local arborist that might be able to help you and guide you in your pruning decisions. Because at the end of the day, it will affect your property value, and you want to make sure that your tree is safe. And we want healthy urban forests out there, guys. So if you got any questions, go ahead and email me and consult with an arborist. Take care, guys.